JP, say hi to everybody.
What's going on, guys? How's the audio working?
It's a good question. I guess we'll find out after the fact. Not exactly the best way to do it, but
No. Do you have a? Do you want to bring it closer then?
Yeah,
like
probably.
right here then.
all right. So we'll bring it like.
We have nice chit chat. Where do you want us to sit?
I mean, if y'all want to sit like closer up here, that's cool too. And I figure we'll just move it to whoever is talking and go from there.
We'll sit over here.
This is your rodeo, my friend.
All right.
Airen's my comfort blanket.
You don't need me. You're going to be off on your own one day.
You must fly.
I mean, she's going to fly one day. If you want to, only this. But if you want to, I'm not here to push you or stress you.
I was really hoping the in-person people would get to appreciate the meetings.
I know, we did so
I know.
much work. I'm bummed out. It sounded like a lot of people were going to come just by like the Facebook stuff.
A few people that have messaged me because I was like, hey, where you at? Like, stuff with kids came up or, I don't know.
I like
Kids are like the ultimate get out of everything.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, oh, my kid, like, because I can't be like, oh, your kid's a jerk. Like,
Your kid's an asshole.
Especially if they're sick. Then like,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna
what
go,
can
you do?
sorry,
That's what I
kid's sick.
I'm like,
Done.
the
End
baby.
of conversation.
The baby has a rash.
It might
Yeah.
be COVID.
please don't bring that
Who
sick
knows?
baby around me.
COVID
Yeah.
is the best for me.
COVID is a great excuse.
I didn't
Yeah.
have to see anybody. No offense, but we didn't have to talk to real, like,
Mhm.
like
I
hang
got
out
a
with
family
realtors.
stuff. I got so much family stuff with it.
You can just do whatever.
You can be a couch potato and like not have to feel like you have to travel or do things. I loved COVID.
We would
Yeah.
just wear clothes from the marketing closet.
Are we
Yeah.
still on live stream just before we talk about our love?
We sure
for
are.
COVID?
COVID was great.
Everybody say,
Yeah,
oh my God, I love COVID
We
so
hate
much.
people. People suck.
No, honestly, like, so I was working at AT&T at the time, and it was great because the way that they had to do staffing was we went from being open from like 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. to being 10 to 7 every day. So your schedule was the same every single day. It was fantastic. I knew like exactly what I could do in the mornings, what I couldn't. There was no changing schedule. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then like the traffic disappeared. Everyone got to work
I
from
know.
home.
We were essential workers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still came to the office. I wasn't in the office for like 1
Do y'all
hour.
want these?
You should
I'll
take
take one,
them.
absolutely.
You should take them. And here's Grace's cards.
Sweet.
I made this by myself today.
I love you.
I'm just here to.
I give Grace enough problems as is, so.
I love your problems. I
Not
love
you
all of
asking
those
me.
problems.
So we're gonna get started here probably in a couple minutes, just letting people kind of file in. So anyone that's online, thanks for attending. We hope that this is a valuable presentation for you. Lots of industry experts here to share different aspects of home buying. So we'll get started here in a little bit. We are live.
Is there anyone there?
Yeah.
For
I
2
don't know.
minutes and
I
47
don't want to look.
seconds.
I'm scared.
Are you?
If I just pretend that
No one's
no one's
there.
on there, I'm good.
So appraisals, it says you'll have to pay for it in advance. For our clients, we don't require the appraisal fee in advance.
Yeah, there's a few things in there that I was like, I wonder if I should tweak this.
We can tweak it later or twerk it, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Either way.
so,
That's true. I like that about us. That we don't require that.
100%. So like I call these monies up front. What are the things you need to think about? Like what's due up front?
Inspection. Yeah.
Correct. So you're gonna have money for your inspection, money for your option, money for your earnest. So those are your monies up front, and then the rest of it will be due at closing. That's what I think about. Like I need to have a better name for it.
Money's up front.
And then I-
Prepaids or like
No, those are
Paid
going to be your
advance.
escrows.
Yeah.
POCs.
Paid outside of
closings.
Or your POA, which is your pissed off Airen fee, which I used to get away with in 2003.
could add a little extra 500 or so.
2003
in
was
there.
my heyday.
Market adjustment.
Yeah.
No, just a
That's
POA
awesome.
fee. They're like, what's that? I'm like, do you really want to talk about Dudon? Dudon.
All right, it's 7:01. Are we ready?
Let's do this.
All right. Well, how's it going, Facebook? We are here at Austin Title and Cedar Park. We're so excited to be here to present our first-time homebuyer information the market is changing rapidly, and it's a good thing that you have a team in your corner to help navigate that with you. You'll be hearing from myself and JP, who are realtors at TRE Real Estate. You'll be hearing from Airen and Grace from the Bowerstock team, who are our amazing lenders. And are we still going? We're still good? Fantastic. And Carianne from Austin Title, who is our favorite escrow officer and also our lovely location host for this event. So we're going to let JP Perkins take over and get you some market statistics, some information about what you'll be facing as a buyer, and we'll go from there.
How's it going, guys? My name is JP. I'm with TRE as well. Now let's face it, the last few years really haven't been that good for new buyers. Austin's been expanding in every direction. We actually hit the edge of civilization where we're starting to cross into farmland now. So you're gonna have to start running poles, roads, and stuff to expand much further. Some of the towns that people have been moving to used to have maybe 150 people or so before the pandemic, and then they wake up one day and they're surrounded by $1 million mansions. Realistically, a lot of these bids have been going, or houses have been going multiple bids over, and we're not talking like, oh, I got like 3 or 4 bids all of a sudden. I mean, you're talking 30, 40, 50 bids over. You're talking $100,000 over asking. Some houses I've seen go to double. I actually saw one where somebody put down for the earnest money that they were going to give them an Angus cow, completely butchered. I don't know how you compete with that as a new buyer. It hasn't been a really good market for new buyers. Some of the open houses, lines around the block. I remember going to one, it was 3 hours long. It's like standing in line for a new sushi restaurant or something. Not really having a lot of selection. You got 3 or 4 houses popping up in a school district all at once. You've got maybe, you're waiting all day long, like it's like ACL tickets. You're sitting in line, everybody else in line is gonna bid on it. You've got people from out of state bidding on it. You've got people coming from overseas. It's very aggressive, and it's hard for somebody who's looking for their first home to really kind of put a bid in. This has been going on all year, and you can see kind of it steadily increase as you go through January, right? So like Williamson County, this is just here in Williamson County. Average price in January is $460,000. Average price in February, $479,000. Average price March, $490,000. April, $510,000. Then May, $509,000. It stops. So this opens up a little bit of an opportunity. Now, some of that's going to be because of the interest rate, some of it's because of the politics, some of it's seasonal. But you'll see that the price kept going up and up and up and up. It's getting harder. There's more people. It's more aggressive. And then all of a sudden, it kind of evens out. We've got a little bit of a window where new buyers kind of can have a chance to get in there, take a look around. There's about maybe 4 times more houses on the market. Earlier in the year, we were looking at 2,000, 3,000 on there. When I pulled it up today, it was about almost 8,000 houses on the market. So there's a lot more to choose from. There's a lot more options. There's a lot more range, on the lower end. There was nothing under maybe 450, 500. Now we're starting to see 350 come back. The new builders out in some of the suburbs like Gerald, even Georgetown and stuff like that are starting to have options and deals come back on the table where they're offering to put money towards closing for new buyers.
I've been getting a lot of those emails.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of those emails where before they wouldn't negotiate at all, and now there's stuff back on the table. So a lot of the kind of frothiness has come off the top. So that allows you to maybe ask for an inspection. For a while, waiving inspections was a standard. And this is very hard if you're a new buyer and this is your first time buying a house. You don't want to have to say, you know what, I don't care about that cracked foundation. Go ahead, I'll worry about it later. You want to be able to take your time. You want to be able to do it right. You want to be able to go through the proper steps, not skip a bunch of stuff just because you're in a hurry. And I think that, a little bit of the, hasn't really come down or anything. It's just kind of remained flat. The prices are still more expensive. You would have gotten a better deal last year, but would you have won that deal when you're competing with 50 or 60 other people who are willing to go hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash over asking? So I think right now there's a little bit of a window for people who are looking for their first home to kind of slip in there and really kind of look around, find what they want, and maybe try to negotiate down instead of trying to get stuck into just buying what they're forced to buy.
Yeah, I know that from my personal experience is that people are getting burnt out, or they're getting discouraged by the rising interest rates. But that shouldn't be your deciding factor on if you're going to buy or not, because as I'm sure you'll hear multiple times throughout this, interest rates go up and down. You can always refinance whenever lower interest rates come around. We did that with my personal house when we bought, and we're saving $350 a month compared to when we bought. So it's great that there are options. A lot of your competition has gone away. So now is really the time to double down on your efforts finding a house if you can afford it. That's the big part. Is I would never say you should do this if you can't afford to buy a house right now. And in our current, housing climate, that's a possibility. Like, houses are not cheap anymore. They're not, 100, 200,000. So it's a lot of money that you're talking about. But if you are in the market and it is a possibility for you, I encourage you to go ahead and double down on those efforts. So JP, thank you for sharing market statistics. What kind of things can realtors do to help their buyers with negotiations? I know we haven't even thought about negotiating, and for the last 2.5 years in this extreme seller's market, if you even brought that up, your realtor probably sighed and rolled their eyes to themselves. So what does that look like?
Right. First, one of the things you used to do when it's really hot is you used to do something like waive inspections. Now you don't have to do that. So you can put that on and ask for maybe 7-day option and then negotiate down to 5 or 3 or something like that. Use that for leverage. You can come in at an anchor price that's lower than what they're looking at for asking. Just because you're seeing the higher prices, if the seller's a little nervous that they're not going to sell their house if they haven't had any bids, they will be interested in hearing something, even if it's less than what you're thinking. I would also look into, definitely as a realtor, I'm going to reach out to the other realtor who's selling the house and kind of dig for information, see what kind of things they may have on the table. You just ask the seller. A lot of times they'll just kind of give up information too.
What would it take to win this offer?
Yeah, what would it take to win? Are they, is there maybe a different mix you can put together, like if you come up with more cash, or even if there's different programs that they can do, VA or FHA to lower one side and then put it back on the sellers for another. Asking for repairs, I've seen more than a couple of those go through now too.
Yeah, absolutely. One really popular thing that I've seen just recently, because there's tons of price decreases right now. We were talking earlier, I haven't seen a 200 unit price drop, I think, since I've been a realtor, which is pretty crazy. Like the typical is like maybe 5 to 10 on a daily basis. There were over 200 today on our MLS.
And you're getting a lot more listings now than there were at the beginning of the year, but even more price decreases than there are listings. Like I think when we looked at noon, there was 120 new houses on the market, but 180 price decreases. So there are actually more decreases than total units put on.
Yeah, pretty wild, especially if all you've heard is it's an extreme seller's market. Like things are changing, at least for right now, and that is why we're doing this, is because you've been presented an opportunity to act. If you've been on the fence about it, we want to be encouraging and just tell you what we're seeing in the market on a daily basis. Another option for negotiation that's kind of a win-win for everybody is having the seller buy your rate down. That's a oftentimes cheaper option than lowering, by $10,000, $15,000. It helps you as a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer. You're going to get that cheaper interest rate at the expense of the seller, and that lowers your monthly payment more than a $10,000 or $15,000 price drop on a 30-year loan. So that's another really great option to have in your back pocket. That's where a realtor comes in handy. So thank you so much for sharing that. I hope that you took away some value as to what a realtor can do for you, and give you some hope for buying a home.
Question real quick.
Yes.
How much does it cost me if I'm a first-time home buyer or any kind of home buyer to have you represent me as my agent?
$1 million.
Yes, my retainer is $1 million. No, so that was a great question. So it was how much does it cost to have a realtor represent you when you're a home buyer, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not? So every realtor is a little bit different as far as if they're going to pursue a commission differential. But my services, for example, are free to buyers. We get paid by the sellers by their agreed and negotiated commission disbursement that they're going to do. So if my normal fee is 3% and the seller is only going to give me 2%, me personally, I'm not going to go after you for that 1%. That's just me though. Some realtors may say I charge X amount percent no matter what. So that's definitely a discussion to have with your realtor of choice. So
Nice.
awesome. So I'm up next. I'm going to be going over the home buying process. What I hope that this does is take this really intimidating and seemingly ominous process that I went through myself when I bought in 2018 and make it into something that's not so scary. I broke it down into 7 steps. There are a lot of mini steps between that, but just to get you an idea from start to finish what a transaction looks like, that's what I'm going to be doing for you right now. So first and foremost, your first step is to secure financing. You're either going to be paying cash or you're going to finance a loan when buying a house. So if you're like the 95% of us, you're going to be getting a loan. And that is actually why we have a fantastic lending team here who's going to be talking to you about the pre-approval process and what lending options are available to you. So first, you'll speak with a lender to determine how much house you can afford. You'll obtain a pre-approval letter for the loan amount that you require, and that will be submitted with your offer. So that's important. That's why it's the very first step. You have to prove that you can pay for the house and for the offer that you're presenting. So it's very important that you do that. I personally will not show a house unless you are pre-approved, because how do I know that this $500,000 house isn't $100,000 over your limit if you're not pre-approved? So just to respect everyone's time, get pre-approved, the very first step. Number 2, after you are pre-approved, you hire a realtor, like these handsome gentlemen here, and we go to work for you. We start, setting you up on the MLS to get listings. We go and we open doors for you. We present you with a buyer's representation agreement just to make our agreement official. So that's in writing. It gives us the opportunity to be able to represent you and talk to other agents for you. So number 3, the home search. This is the process of elimination. We start by deciding which neighborhoods you want to live in and whether you want to buy a new or an existing home. I have a website which you can go onto my profile if you are interested in searching there. You can also use things like, I hate to say them, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia. There's a lot of search engines. However, your local real estate agent has access to the MLS, and that is the most accurate and up-to-date information as possible because it's updated in real time. So I always get people that send me houses on Zillow and they were sold 2 months ago. So work with a realtor because that's going to be your most accurate information that's available to you.
And I would throw in a little comment with this too. One thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is when you hop on Zillow and Realtor, I have no problems with any of those. A lot of properties are not on the market. So I don't know how many of my buyers I've sold a house that nobody else has ever seen. They'll come from other sellers who don't want to go on the MLS. They don't want to show anybody their house. Maybe they don't want to clean it at all. There's a lot of off-market stuff. There's a lot of, kind of not really even under the table. It just doesn't ever get that far in the process. Somebody wants it before it even gets there. So if you hear about something, a realtor is going to help and be kind of in the flow of all of that information to help you find things that you might never even see on Zillow or Realtor long before it even gets that far. So, there's a lot of stuff out there that they never even see if they're using those websites.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I love about our brokerage in particular, Type E Real Estate, is they're real big into.
Yeah, we just went the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, there's so many more options than just what you see on the MLS.
Yeah.
That's what JP was saying. It's a great tool if your realtor has access within their brokerage to look for those kind of things. I'm all for it because you can get in with little to no competition, or get in before it hits the market and there becomes a bid war or you're competing against other people. So another side note about your home search, if you haven't, this happens all the time. Someone will tell me, Jordan, I want to look at houses that are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no bigger, and they have to be at least 1,600 square feet. And then they'll send me a house on Zillow that's 1,400 square feet, 4-bed, 2-bath. If you're open to that kind of thing, like, it's okay to tell your realtor to adjust your search parameters because we're not going to feed you those properties unless you ask for it. So just have really clear expectations and communicate with your realtor as effectively as possible so we can get you those accurate results. Because, like I said, it happens all the time. It never fails. You set some parameters, and then you break your own parameters. Like, let us break it with you. So step 4. So far we've got secure your financing, you hire your realtor, and then you start your home search. So then you find the right home. So we're going to review the market conditions with you and decide whether you need to make an aggressive or a competitive offer. We write that up and explain all the paperwork that's necessary for the offer, and then negotiation may go back and forth a few times between the parties. Typically, I know that we're talking about the market cooling down. You kind of want to present your best foot first. You don't want to have I'm willing to go up to X amount, so I'm going to start here. If you do that, it is still very possible that you're going to miss the opportunity to negotiate with that other realtor. They may come back immediately if they have no offers and say, hey, are you willing to go up to this? Can you tweak this on your offer? But I always go under the assumption that whatever they see first, that's going to be the offer. So put your best foot forward. So then, step 5, you get under contract. So we make an offer, they like it, they accept it. So after the final acceptance of the terms by both parties, we officially go under contract. And at this time, you'll provide your earnest money check to the title company to open up your escrow and provide an option check. I think you can do that both now to the title company. And that starts your inspection period. You have 2 business days to deliver your earnest and your option money. So that basically takes the house away from being bid on by anyone else. It's yours to lose at that point, basically. So step 6, that's when you're going to start. You're going to order an inspection and an appraisal. So these are really important because, especially as first-time home buyers, you do not want to, in my opinion, not get an inspection. You want to know what you're getting into with your house. You can see it, it's all pretty on the outside. They've got new paint, new appliances, but you don't know what's really going on behind the walls. You don't know if they have outdated electrical work. You don't know if the HVAC is working properly. Little details like that, that's where an inspection comes in. So that begins the negotiated option period, which is usually 3 to 7 days. Inspections are performed to ensure that the property is right for you. Any negotiated repairs will be completed prior to closing. Once the inspection is complete, your lender will order an appraisal to be done on the property. And during this time, you will also need to arrange insurance for your new home. Your title insurance company will provide a commitment for title insurance for you to review. I mean, really, we covered it pretty good there. The last thing that you do is you close. Like I said, there's a lot of miniature steps throughout this. There's some back and forth, some things will pop up, and that's why a realtor is here to help you with those things to make sure that it's as smooth of a transaction as possible. Like I said, everyone involved in this is on your team. Your lender is there for you, your realtor is there for you, your escrow officer is there for you, and that's why us that are all here today are doing this, is to show you that We're industry experts, and we're here to be of value to you. So just to wrap it up one more time, secure your financing, hire a realtor, you start your home search, you make an offer, you go under contract, you do your inspection, appraisal, and all the little mini steps, and then you close on the house and it's yours. So that is how you buy a home. It's really not that scary. I thought it was whenever I bought my house because I didn't know any different. I had just signed my lease, and I was 1 month into my lease when John Michael Perez, I hope you're watching, approached me to start looking for a home. Didn't think it was possible because I was stuck in a lease, and we made it work. So no matter what your situation is, your current living situation, there is a solution. So lots of info. Hope some of it stuck. And as mentioned, the very first step is to get pre-approved. And that's why we have brought in the wonderful Bowerstock team, Airen and Grace, to talk to you about what that looks like.
Awesome.
So cool.
Should we switch seats?
We can do that,
Is
or
what
we
you're
can move
doing?
the
Or you can
camera.
just move it?
Okay, let me get out of your way.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace, with the Home Loan Expert with Airen here. And so we are here to talk to you about what it takes to get pre-approved. Are we?
Yeah, you guys are too far apart.
Okay.
There it is.
Do you want me to sit in her lap?
No, that'd be inappropriate. There we go.
Okay, so yes, a pre-approval, it really only takes 5 to 10 minutes. We have a ton of different ways to take an application. We have a link where we can send you and you can fill it all in yourself, or we love to get on the phone with our clients and kind of just run through it with them. That's usually the best way, especially if it's your first time, because we can, go over all the numbers with you, talk to you about documentation, go over your income, credit, and go through everything with you on the phone. So there's no questions, there's no guessing. Like I said, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Some important things to note. I don't know if you want to talk about any of these things, loan program or credit or anything.
Well, yeah. Well, and you're on the right track, because a lot of the times, if you do want to submit your loan application online, it's super easy. It just pops into our inbox. We pull the credit, we do the preliminary work, and then we call you to firm it up. At that point, that's going to help Grace and I determine the type of loan program that you're going to qualify for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 4 different types of programs available, 3 of which are government-backed loans. You've got USDA, which is 0 down. You've got VA, and you have to be an eligible veteran. That's also 0 down. You've got FHA. It's not just for first-time home buyers. It's for anyone buying a primary. That's 3.5% down. And then you've got your conventional Fannie Freddie, which is anywhere between 3 and on upwards for your down payment. So what we like to do is get our eyes on the loan. The 5 to 10 minutes, that's what she was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can determine the programs that you're eligible for, and we can kind of check the ones off the list. And then what we'll do is we'll figure out which one's going to get the most bang for our buck in terms of affordability, monthly payment, down payment, and the overall parameters of your loan. And then once we go through that with you, we'll give you our 2 cents. That's what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, y'all are making that mortgage payment. So we provide you with these options on which program might be best for you, but we don't have to marry one until we find that house. And it's going to be a fluid process, because once y'all start looking for houses with your agent, we like to know what the property taxes are. I mean, Grace carries a calculator in her pocket, so do I. On the weekends, we got to know what those taxes are. We can look them up and get it down to the penny, so that there's no surprises. And that's what makes our offers competitive and strong. We're also local. A lot of the listing agents are very familiar with us. I've been doing this since 2002, and Grace is just incredible. She's been doing this for a long time too, and yeah, we've been doing it for a very long time. And so a lot of times we already know that listing agent. And so the beauty of having a local lender is that we have these established relationships, and we have good, we've got great, I would say amazing reputations. And so that pre-approval that we send is solid, because we get all of the documentation up front. And I'm kind of a lazy loan officer, in that if we don't need to have 2 years of tax returns, I don't want to. I want to get the very minimum amount, which is why it's really important to talk to Grace or me so that we can figure out what we can get away with as little documentation as possible. We can close a loan in 10 days. It's super easy. We'll do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and what Airen was saying about the different loan programs, so that's why we love to get on the phone with our clients, because a borrower may qualify for FHA and they may qualify for a conventional loan, but sometimes with the monthly payments, once we kind of go through the difference in monthly payments, the mortgage insurance on an FHA loan is going to look different than the mortgage insurance on a conventional loan. But there's a lot of little nuances in there that we know as loan officers, looking at credit score, debt to income ratio, there's a bunch of different things that we look at so we can run through those numbers with you and make an educated decision on which program makes sense. And that's something I love to do. We constantly send fee sheets and loan estimates to clients so that way they can see the difference between, this is what a conventional loan is going to look like, this is what an FHA loan is going to look like. And that way they can make a decision for themselves as far as what mortgage payment they're comfortable with, and kind of explain the differences between the two loans and what that looks like long term. So there's definitely a lot of great options. VA loans, we love to do those.
Love our VAs.
Those, if you're a veteran, that's number one suggestion. USDA loans, another option. I've been looking into some of those with Jordan for some of his clients, so that's a great option as well, 0% down. But we know all the little ins and outs of how to get you qualified for each different loan type. So it's really important to talk to us up front and really have that understanding of what those loans will look like. And like Airen said, just collecting the documentation up front. So, especially if it's, maybe a little bit of a trickier situation, like we want your pay stubs, we want to go through the income, we may want to get a verification of employment up front, we want to make sure that you qualify, so that way when you do go under contract, you have peace of mind that you qualify for this loan, and we know that there's not going to be any issues down the road when you're going through the mortgage process, because it can feel a little intimidating if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
So we're with you throughout the process. We have an amazing team. They'll be with you throughout the process. So communication is huge for us. We like to make sure you understand what goes into it and where you're at in the loan process. So I think that's really beneficial to work with us.
There's definitely a method to our madness. And if you go to my website, buyerstockteam.com, we can talk about credit. We can talk about the do's and the don'ts when you're applying for a mortgage. Don't close out your credit cards. Don't pay them off right now. Don't pay off old collections. There's different rules, and it's not a blanket statement for everybody. Everyone's credit is going to be very nuanced and very different. And you think that paying off old collections is going to help your score? No. If you just don't touch that bear if it's been over 3 years. But let's look at it together. Get someone to put eyeballs on it like us, and it's not going to ding your score. So when you're shopping for a mortgage, you have 44 days to shop, which means that you can have banks and mortgage companies like us pull your credit, and it's not going to lower your score. That's protected by the Consumer Protection Act. So a lot of the fear is, will pulling my credit ding my score? No, it's not. You have 44 days. Now, if you go apply for a credit card at Target, yes, your score is going to go down significantly. If you go buy a car, they're going to farm out your social, and 23 people are going to pull your credit, and those are hard hits. Those will hundreds of points, and then it's going to take a long time for us to recoup all of those credit checks. And so before you decide about buying a car, if you even think that you want to buy a house, if you're 6 weeks out or 6 months out or even 2 or 3 years, get ahead of it now. Let's look at credit. If you think you're not in a place where you need to be, we'll get you there. Just do it ahead of time.
Yeah, I think that's great too. We work, I worked with a lot of clients where maybe their credit scores aren't where we want them to be, or maybe they do have those old
Or
collections.
how about they
sitting
think
there.
they have an 800 credit score and they
Yeah.
forget to pay that $19 Nordstrom's bill.
That's true. I mean,
That was a very specific amount. I feel like that came up.
that's probably a real life
It's
like
happening.
example.
It's happening right now.
I mean, and that's the other thing. People don't even really realize that they, maybe you have a collection sitting on your credit that you
Yes.
had no idea was even there. So, talking to us, getting that credit run, we can go through it. We have programs to help you fix your credit. We can do rapid rescores. You know,
I think
there's-
that's the scariest part.
yes, I agree.
It's like, I don't even want to put my own credit, but I do it every year. I'm like, oh gosh, what have I done? But I have to do it. But just know that we've all been on the other side of that table where it's like, okay, they're going to see underneath my financial skirt. They're going to see all the bad things, like when I didn't want to pay the student loans. Guess what? That was me like 20 years ago. Just didn't think I wanted to pay them. Had to fix my credit, but it's like having that conversation, and there's no judgment. We just want to be able to put you in a place to where you can be a homeowner if that's something that you want.
We've seen it all, so
Oh, gosh.
nothing's really surprised us. And as we just have gone through,
I don't even know what finger hut is. What
What
is
is?
finger hut?
What is finger
That
hut?
weird trade line, it just says finger hut. Have you
Isn't
ever
that
seen
like a
it?
cookie?
No, it's like
It's
this
like
sky
Pretty
mall.
Oriental training.
Yeah.
Is
It's like
it?
a
Yeah.
sky mall.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, and
I
it's
don't
like,
know if I've seen that one.
I know if you have a finger hut, well, we're gonna fix that. I'll fix the finger hut issues.
Yeah, just from personal experience, I have a lot of clients that are working with Grace currently, and like they said, everyone's situation is different, and you're not really going to know or have that clear path to success for home buying until you talk with them. Like that's all it is. It's just a conversation. People get really scared whenever they talk about like credit pulls. I hate to break it to you, you're gonna have to get over that to buy a house.
But like, what's the big deal about people look at my credit karma? They lie to you, but also,
Yeah.
like, unless you're buying a house, that's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make, and that's the one time where you do want to be able to shop for the best mortgage and to make sure that your credit is on point, because that's going to affect your payment for the entire life of that loan. And so allowing a banker to pull your credit is not going to harm you. It's only going to help you. I mean,
I agree with that.
that's like the biggest thing that we
It's really
have to be able to educate and explain. And we can keep going through it. I can talk mortgages to the cows.
What's your advice for the first time home buyer that's been very financially frugal and hasn't had credit card debt and hasn't established credit?
Good question. The only thing worse than no credit is bad credit. Or, wait, is it the only thing worse than bad credit is no
No
credit?
credit.
Credit. There you go.
Yep, there you go. So people that are scared to have those credit cards, I get it. I get the whole Dave Ramsey thing. Isn't that who the guy's like?
He's real big into not having debt, or if you can't buy it cash, according to Dave Ramsey, you don't need it.
Right.
Which,
So-
unfortunately, that's just not how the real world works, in my opinion. I know
So if you
I'm gonna
don't-
get roasted by Dave Ramsey fans right now.
That's fine. You can roast me all day because I've been doing this for so long, and I've seen people that have gone through the Dave Ramsey process, and you pull credit in, there's no trade lines, and so you actively have to call their car insurance, and you build those self-reported trade lines, and it is painstaking, and it doesn't really help their credit. So having a credit card, even if if it's 24% APR and you put gas on it and you pay it off on your app, okay, just pay it off in full and just use it. And if you don't use it, they fire you. But credit is extremely important. You want to have revolving debt, like credit card debt. You want to pay that balance off or keep it at around 19%. Installment debt, like an auto loan or student loans, on-time payments. If you're in deferment, that's fine. Just make sure you're keeping up with that communication with your student loan servicer. Just paying everything on time, especially medical bills, because those will sneak up on you and those turn into collections
Oh yeah,
real quick.
those are not good.
Now I want to make sure that everyone in the back heard. Did you say that there were options for $0 down as a down payment?
Yes, so $0 down, FHA, or not FHA, VA or USDA. We were doing a down payment assistance program for a while, but
I don't like to.
yeah, those rates are, and now especially they're
It's
I don't recommend
predatory
it.
in my opinion.
It is. So VA and USDA are going to be your best bet for 0% down, like the most legitimate way to do that.
Or pulling money from your 401k. A lot of people don't realize that you can pull money from your 401k. Now again, check the fine print in your 401k company. But if you're buying a primary home, you can usually pull money out of your 401k for your down payment as well as your closing costs. And you don't have to pay taxes on that. There's no penalty. You don't have to pay yourself back because you're using it for a primary home purchase. So something to
a good
consider.
tip.
It's like, or borrowing money from a friend or family member. I don't have people like that in my life. So the 401k was my option, and I didn't have to pay taxes on it.
I love it. And I'll just tell you guys, like I said before, the Bowerstock team has been so incredible for my clients who are trying to get started or just don't have a sense of direction on what to do. Grace has been amazing with, if you're not even home purchase ready, we can get you there. Here's what this looks like. She has a very clear roadmap for what you need to do to get home purchase ready. I have clients who don't have credit. I have clients who have bad credit. But that's the thing, is they're able to look at this for you and help game plan with you. And it's so easy. It's conversational. There's never been any pressure to do something that's not going to be in your benefit. So it's not as scary as it seems. Like I said, they've been amazing to work with. Everyone here at this table has been amazing to work with for my clients. So I just encourage you to look into it. It all starts with your lender. So these ladies here are here for you. Thank y'all so much for diving into that. I'm sure we'll have a few questions here at the end to kind of sum everything up. But thank you.
Thanks.
So keeping it with our last guest, like I said, our location host and our wonderful escrow officer, Miss Carianne Gilmore, is here to talk about what title insurance is, how that affects you as a buyer, and what it does for you.
So I am an escrow officer, and most consumers have no idea what that really means. And basically, I partner with real estate agents and lenders to help walk you through the closing process. So once you go under contract, I am working on the contract. I'm coordinating with your lender and getting all the details of the contract into our system. We are doing title search, and title search is really important. We are checking to make sure that the seller is the proper owner of the property they have the rights to sell the property. We're also checking the deed history. Has it been transferred properly through the life of the land? We go back 200 years looking at property history. We were looking for any liens on the property that we need to take care of. Are there any issues with the property that we need to deal with to provide you with clear title to the property? And we sell a product. We sell title insurance. We sell owner's title insurance and lender's title insurance. And that just protects you and the lender that we have done our research and given you clear title to the property. So if issues arise, that you thought you had 5 acres and somebody says, no, one of those acres is mine, we're ensuring that that property is properly transferred. You'll hear from me at the very beginning of the transaction when you go under contract. I will get some basic information from you. Then you probably won't hear from me very much because you're going to be working with your lender, meeting all of their conditions, providing them documents, working through the process. And then you'll hear from me at the end when we get ready for closing, big day. You'll come in, we'll walk you through all your closing documents, take time to answer any of your questions. Your hand's going to be worn out because you're going to be signing so many papers. You get lots of practice with your signature, and then we get to hand you the keys once we get funding approval from your lender. It's a great experience. We try to make it fun. We try to help you, walk you through questions along the way. I'm here to support you and your agents and your lenders through the process.
I have a question for you. How do you prefer your buyers to bring their closing costs? Do you prefer wire or cashier's check? And if I do a wire, how do I prevent any fraud or, like the scary things that come along with that wire transfer?
Right. So at the very beginning of the transaction, when you go under contract, I provide you a secure login to our system that you get your wire instructions. That's the only time I provide it to the buyers. One time. So there is a lot of fraud in our industry right now. And so from the very beginning who you're communicating with. You've logged into my system to get the wire instructions. I'm not sending you an email. Sending a lot of our secure documents through email is kind of dangerous in our industry. So we try to provide that secure format for you. For closing costs, we typically say you can do a wire or a cashier's check, which it's really your comfort level of what you want to do. And we'll give you all the information to process through that.
I have a question. I know on the owner's title policy is sometimes optional. What is it? What does it look like?
It's not optional if you get a mortgage.
Well, there's one that always says optional.
Yeah,
If you
so
pay cash.
yeah, so
That's it.
so title insurance, owner's title insurance, it
Yep.
does say on the closing statements it's optional, and you can do that, but it would be outside of a title office, and you can't do that on a loan. If you have a loan, it's
Okay.
title insurance is required because the lender wants to be protected as well, to cover their bases.
That's a good tip for me to know because I see people ask me that all
Why is
the
it optional?
time.
I don't know. They just put it on there. It's fine.
The other thing on the closing statements that you'll see when your lender provides you an estimated closing statement, it will say some fees that you can shop for, and title fees are always listed there. And title insurance fees are promulgated by the Texas Department of Insurance. It is a set fee. It's going to be the same at any title office that you go to. So I can give you our specific fees, but the title insurance fees are going to be the same anywhere you go.
And you can just give it a Google too. I mean, that's how we estimate what the fees are, because a lot of the times we don't know where the title's going to be. And so we'll go on and we'll calculate it because it's going to be the same no matter which title company
Right.
they close at. It's just the level of service here is just like hand holding, and that's what we love. Instead of just like throwing documents your way and then sending a random notary who has no idea how to close anything.
Right.
And then I just end up on the phone for 3 hours.
Yeah, I think title is kind of like the maybe unsung hero behind
big
the
time.
scenes.
Seriously.
You cover a lot of other things too, right? I mean, commonly, if I want to know full closing costs, you can give me breakdowns of like taxes due or any other hidden things that might be
Right.
associated with that title.
We look at HOA fees.
Yep.
We can order home warranties for you. We can help provide you with a list of resources for that. We will do all of those kind of things behind the scenes. If you are trying to, okay, I only want to bring this much to closing, what does that look like? We can run net sheets for you to calculate that.
And then it would include not just buyers, but if somebody were to sell their house too, I believe you
Right.
provide all that too.
Yeah, we have a great tool that can help walk you through that. And we have a lot of resources for first-time home buyers or sellers, just walking them through what the process looks like every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Carianne helped me with a recent transaction that, things could look like it's gonna maybe fall apart, and magically it doesn't. And you wonder how that happens. It's because of people like this who, again, are in your corner to help make things as smooth as they can be. I love that, for anyone who some of the terminology may have flew over your head, title is really great because you don't want to get to the closing table to find out that the second cousin twice removed or the brother that no one knows about has a claim to the property that you're trying to purchase like that. And it happens more frequently than you would care to believe. So, Carianne, thank you so much for sharing there. So that's the end of our presentation for that information. We kind of wanted to just wrap up with some kind of free-form Q&A like we've been doing. I know my question that I have that I'm sure some of the viewers would probably have is, let's say they're ready to get pre-approved. What information do they need to provide you so that you can do that? What does that loan application look like, from just the criteria that they're going to need to know?
Sure. So, basically, social, date of birth, address. We need at least a 2-year history of where you've been living. We'll want to discuss a 2-year employment history. Doesn't mean you need to be at the same job for 2 years. We have clients who were students, maybe homemakers for some time. So, but we have to at least have that discussion so that way once the file gets to underwriting, retired. There's different forms of income we can use. So we like to go through
assets as income.
Yes, we're doing an asset depletion loan now, which is gonna be fun. So, but yes, just making sure that we've gotten all your personal information. We'll run that credit check with you on the phone. We'll go through your credit, discuss that with you. Those are really the key points, and that's where we can kind of determine, if we think if you're commission or if you're bonus heavy with your income, we may want to gather your pay stubs for a while or review your income from last year. So those are all things that we can determine as we're going through the application, but those are the kind of questions that we're going to start asking as we're gathering information from you.
Awesome. What is the lowest credit score that you can have to get approved for a loan?
Do you know this?
Well, I do because our meeting today.
So there's not a minimum credit score. The credit, did you see the LOs that didn't know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no minimum credit score. FHA actually, if you have below, I think it's like a 580 or 560 on FHA, you have to put 10% down. But that's the only threshold. Investors have what we call overlays. And so typically anything below 580 is going to be real hard to get through because there's a reason why that FICO is so low, whether it's collections, past due, lack of credit, or just bad credit. You can do manuals, but we won't get into that. So there's no minimum credit score. There's no minimum for VA, FHA, USDA. It says there's none, but I can't imagine getting a 580 or less through USDA. They're real finicky, especially with those DTIs and like those past due accounts. And conventional, you can go as low as the investor will allow. Typically, that's where you're going to hit those 580s or 620s and so on and so forth.
Awesome. So just because you're not in the 800s doesn't mean that you can't get a house.
You can get a house. It's going to cost you though.
Yeah.
So let's get ahead of it now.
I guess that's the big thing is that your credit is so important because it affects your interest rate. It affects what your monthly payment is going to be. So can you get a house with a 500 or 580 credit score? Technically, yes, but you're probably going to pay more. Not probably. You are going to pay more than if that credit score was in, the high 6s, low 7s,
And you won't
And so-
qualify for a jumbo loan either. And a jumbo loan is anything that loan amount that exceeds $647,200. You have to have a minimum 680. Sometimes you can go to 640. Sometimes, but if you're going to go over that loan amount, there's really no threshold because those are all straight investor overlays.
Awesome. JP, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask the panel?
I don't
Does
see any on
anyone
the
care?
chat. Yeah, does anybody? Yeah, there's some people in the live stream. Does anybody got any questions on there? Guess we can give them a couple minutes because there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, I'd say go ahead
They
and
can always email Grace and y'all.
Yeah, if you are all interested in having someone reach out to you and you have specific questions that maybe we didn't answer here or just something other, along the topic, if you will please reach out, either leave your information in the comment section or you can reach out to any one of us directly. We're here to be a resource for you. That's what we hope that this time together here today has been for you, is just to show you that homeownership's possible. Central Texas, I keep seeing reports that Austin area is like the second most unaffordable place to live and whatnot. But here's my thing, right? Interest rates are going up. That's a fact, at least for right now. They're higher than what they were in March. But guess what else is going up? Rent, which is 100% interest rate. So the only way I can relay this, right, is if you're hoping for the crash to happen and that's when you plan to buy, people have been betting on that since 2010. So
it's a
Not in
falling
Austin, yeah.
knife too, like the classic, you can't catch a falling knife. So unless your plan is to wait for the crash, buy it, and then flip it for 10 years. I mean, if you're buying for your family, if you're buying for because you've got 10 people living with you, or your in-laws are moving in, or you just got married and your family's growing. I mean, you're buying to hold on to the home, make memories, things like that. It's not just about how much profit you're going to make, or if it goes down 5 or 10% in a year. A lot of these things are going to fluctuate just as a part of natural life, and so you really want to find that opportunity and when is a good time for you to buy for you and your personal situation. But yeah, it's not really. I mean, you're definitely doing it for lifestyle choice and preference and things like that. If you're trying to make money, we will be having a conference on how to turn it into an Airbnb and actually make money off of property, as opposed to just looking at it as an investment when you're really trying to live in it, I guess.
And I think the important thing too is starting a conversation with a real estate agent or a lender does not lock you into anything. You can start the conversation and see where you are, see what your credit score is, see what they can offer you, and then work towards a goal.
I love goals. I love plans.
Of doing something. You may be waiting for the perfect house. You have a specific criteria that you want to meet. But if you do all of these things ahead of time and you're ready to go, when that house hits the market, or JP or Jordan find out about a house that meets your criteria, they can call you up and say, hey, let's do it.
I really like that point too, because I think that's one of the main goals of kind of this too, and that's one of my main strategies when I talk to a lot of first-time buyers too, is because you can get caught up in the process and the emotion, and you're looking at hundreds of houses, and you got to match, your drapes and the new sofa, and people have what styles they want, and is this mid-century modern, and realistically, you kind of want to just get prepared. Get all the boring paperwork taken care of. Take care of.
We love our
Slow
jobs.
it down. I'm sorry. Unbelievably exciting,
It's so fun.
actuary work. And then, but you're gonna want to get all those lined up so that when you get into that process of the fun part of hunting for a house, looking through all of this, you can pick and say, look, I wanna live in Blockhouse Creek, and I can go through and say I need this type of house in this neighborhood, and just look, and then when it's ready, you're good to go. Everything's ready to go. None of this is slowing you down in a market where you're competing with all these other people, where you're competing with people who have completely different scenarios than you. It makes you a lot more prepared for that scenario.
Right. And I think social media has made it more accessible. If you guys know what your clients are looking for, you could blast it out. Hey, we're looking for a 3-2 in Twin Creeks, and you may get more responses versus what's on MLS.
Yeah, what JP was saying about off-market properties. So if we know what you're looking for, we have connections that are not MLS based that we can reach out to. We're probably a part of 20 different groups just to service our clients here in the area. I'm looking for XYZ house in this neighborhood. What do you have off market, or what do you have coming soon? That way we can be on top of it to where if you're ready to make a move, we can act quickly and increase your chances of getting that house.
Mm-hmm. And people call me all the time. Where it's like, hey, I've got so many acres I'm selling, I'm thinking about selling, and if I know, for example, that I've got somebody who is like, look, I've been always looking for something with French doors right off the main bedroom, and then you're like, okay, well, I just had somebody call that before I call anybody else, since I know exactly what I can just send them straight to you, and then it makes everybody's job easier, but it also gives the buyer closer to kind of what they're visualizing that they want. So the more open and honest and forthcoming they are with that, not only does it help us find something, but it helps the buyer really kind of articulate better. The more they talk about it, the more they'll discover about themselves what they want and the process.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, because if you think, I'm going to reserve my right to be wrong on this. I think it's a very slim to none chance, but if you're waiting for this crash to come, I got news for you. Austin in this area is, in my opinion, having the biggest boom since Silicon Valley. I think all the tech industry jobs that are moving here, there's too much happening in this area for you to see any kind of significant price drop on median home value. That's my opinion. Like I said, I reserve the right to be wrong. I'm not I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I just know that people were waiting for a crash when homes were in the 200,000s. And now, as JP showed you with those statistics, Williamson County's average is north of 500. So I think that you have an opportunity to still get in, to have equity in your home, and you got to have somewhere to live. I feel so bad for my friends who are renting, and I see them moving once a year to get away and chase the lower prices. I'll give you my personal story. My wife and I, when we moved out, we went to an apartment. We were paying $940 for an apartment in North Austin. And for us, it worked fine. John Michael came along, convinced me I needed a house. Best decision I didn't know I needed to do. My payment right now for my house is about $1,600 a month. So I went back and I was curious. John Michael and I were driving the other day, and I said, man, I wonder what that same 600 square foot apartment that I was paying $940 for, $940, not $944, back in 2018, what that's going for right now. Any guesses?
1,600.
2240.
Super close. $1,550. So for $50 more, because I took a chance on home ownership, I have incredible equity in my home. I'm paying what rents are going for, and I just, like, until I became a homeowner, I didn't really understand the value behind that. And that's what I hope that you see the value in, and the potential for you is that you have these resources to make it a reality. So.
Cool.
Make
All right.
dreams come true.
Yeah,
Dream
this
team.
is the dream team right here.
Mhm.
I
I
mean,
think
come
so.
on.
Well, y'all, I think, yeah.
I think we're done. Do y'all have anything that you want to add? Is there like a tagline for anyone that we want to throw out here?
Visit bowerstockteam.com today.
.com today.
Boom.
Approved. 5-minute loan approved.
JP and Jordan here with Typee Real Estate. Miss Carianne Gilmore here at Awesome Title. We hope that this has been resourceful for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to any of us.
Thank you.
Woo! Let's go!